I swear to you that I was married for 18 years and I never farted in front of my husband. And he never farted in front of me. Even saying that word to you is making me cringe inside my body. I can't believe I just said that word on stage.
So the most important thing you need to know is that Rachel and Dave Hollis never farted in front of each other. Hello and welcome back to my channel where we are talking about Rachel Hollis once again. So first things first, I have a Twitter account now and you can interact with me there. If you have story ideas or questions or anything, tweet me. That's the easiest, best way to get in touch with me. I'm really bad at emails. I'm very sorry if you email me and I have not got back to you. I will, I promise. It takes a little while for me to get through all of them. Plus I have like my work email and like regular email and this email. Overwhelmed queen. Second thing, we are getting so close to 5,000 subs and some people have been asking, I swear this is not my influencer shtick, people have been asking if I will get a Patreon eventually. I will. I think I'm going to wait till 5,000. So that's like our celebration. We made it. We've grown the channel enough to add on some extra features and a little bit of a more niche community within the community. So at 5,000, that's when I will launch the Patreon. Let me know if you have any requests for things that you like that can be offered on Patreon, like different services, different like exclusive things, what you really enjoy. And we will try to do it. I was thinking maybe like a self-help book club where we can read self-help books and criticize them. That's something I would enjoy doing. So if you're interested, let me know. And I rise up, rise like the day I rise up, very afraid. Okay. So that's my rendition of Rise Up. But today we're talking about Rise only, not Up. Just Rise. And that, if you are unfamiliar with Rise, is Rachel Hollis's conference for people who love Rachel Hollis. In the past, it's been super successful. Thousands and thousands of people have bought tickets and they've gone all across the country. There's been different versions of Rise. There's been virtual, hybrid, in person. So in years past, Rachel has been, on a big stage with, as you can see, like all this, tech work, DJs and technical lighting and graphics, and that's a huge stadium with professional like event planning people taking care of all the behind the scenes types of things. But what we're talking about today is really the rise and fall of Rachel Hollis, specifically talking about her Rise conference that just went on. It was both virtual and in person, and it was not good. Not good whatsoever. And by not good, I mean, compared to what she had before, it is so clear that her career and business is just not in the place that it was previously. And I almost feel bad saying that because I don't wish ill on anybody and I don't want anyone to suffer financially or in any way. Suffering sucks. No one wants to suffer. I don't want that for anybody. However, it does feel vindicating because she really was pretty mean to women in general and people of a lower class, and then I thought she was going to get away with it because that's what she's always done. She's kind of just like swept things under the rug, said, oh, it wasn't my fault, it was my team's fault, and moved on, and everyone forgave her. But this time things were different. So I actually bought the ticket to go to Rise virtual. Now, there were a few different things we need to break down about the ticketing, the type of event this was, and discuss that a little bit. So there was already a virtual Rise event when COVID started, and the prices were fairly low from what I remember. They were pretty affordable, especially because it was all virtual. So there was no in-person, need for space. They had like a studio, I think, and they just recorded different keynotes and stuff there. This one was supposed to be the first back in-person event because at the time when she announced that they were coming back was COVID was starting to at that time look better. People were getting vaccinated. It seemed like things were going on the right path. Things, however, have changed, obviously. And honestly, she got a little lucky in that sense because she can kind of blame the turnout on COVID. But I think the real truth of the matter tells a different story. I talked about in this video, I'll link it up here, about how many tickets were available. I mean, there was a lot of availability. These conferences in the past sold out in minutes. And when I did that video, it was like several weeks since she announced. So the fact that there were so many seats open kind of shows you that people were not really jumping at the chance to go see Rachel Hollis in person as they previously did. People were speculating online that, they might have to cancel, that she might have to, just say, well, we didn't sell enough tickets. It's not worth performing this whole conference for 10 people. But all of a sudden, the ticket master said sold out. And everyone was kind of like, what? How? Like yesterday there was like 1,000 seats open, and now there's none. And part of the reason that people may not have wanted to partake in this event is because the ticket prices were so expensive. The highest ticket price, which is a VIP, was $2,000 for 3 days. I mean, that's not including hotel and airfare or whatever. Like, that's just to go to the conference, and you're not getting fed other than like there was one lunch and maybe one dinner for that price. I mean, that's crazy. That's a lot of money. So a lot of people didn't buy the tickets for the reasons I'm not sure. It could be the price. It could be that Rachel's scandals were too much for people. It could be COVID. It could be all three. But she decided to switch the idea from traditional conference to live studio audience and virtual. So then you could always buy a virtual ticket, but the virtual tickets were the only thing you could buy after they sold out of the live audience tickets. It was unknown how many people were going to be in person. Could be several hundred, could be, the venue that they were in seats 2,000. So it could have been half of that, or it could have been all of that. We weren't sure. But when it actually came to be, it was like 20, 30, 40 max. I would not say more than 40 based on what I could see. And it looked like almost at some of the days it dwindled. And maybe that's just my perception of the room. Maybe it got a little different. But from what I can see, and what I saw from my vantage point and the camera lens from, when I was sitting on my couch watching this happen, there was not thousands. There was, I think, I said max 40, 50. But like, let's say 100 people filtered in at some point. That was probably being very generous to say 100 people were in person there. From an online perspective, I couldn't tell exactly how many people were online. Rachel said there were thousands of people from all over the world. However, on the first day, the morning, so Saturday morning, I was, there's like a chat feature, and there was everyone's name, I believe, was on that list that was virtually signed in, because I thought maybe it was just the VIPs at first, but then my name was there in the list in order. So I'm assuming that was everybody. And it was about 200, maybe 300, if somewhere in that range online. So that would have been, let's say 100. It wasn't, but let's say 100 and then 300 online. So 100 in person and then 300 in line. So about 400 people. I mean, with the ticket prices, you could make like several $100,000 doing that because the ticket prices were so high. But, compared to what she's done in the past, that wasn't nearly the situation from before. So did Rachel plagiarize Rise too? The only reason I would even question that is because when I was searching on Google Rise conference, I found this. This logo actually makes sense because it says Rise and the line is rising through Rise, through the word. It makes sense. I never understood why Rachel Hollis's Rise logo is just a bar that's like almost strike through, as if like don't rise. This conference is all about financial tech and like automation, and they talk to people from all over the world that deal with that space, and it seems to be really reputable. And it looks like it started in 2015 or 2016, and Rachel Hollis's rise didn't start till 2017. So it looks like she just searched Rise conference, found this, and then changed a couple things, and then put her name on it. I'm not saying that's what she did. I'm saying that's what it looks like may have happened, because it's so similar, and she has a history of taking things from the internet and just putting them out there as her own, as if her own social media accounts are a Pinterest board that she's forgot that is public. Speaking of the Rise logo, a participant that was inspired by the conference, the 3 days, actually got a tattoo before she left Austin after the conference was over, and then was getting on a flight, I guess to Arizona, it looked like from her Instagram, and said that Rachel was on her flight, and she actually showed the tattoo to Rachel, and she thought it was rad. So there are some diehard Rachel Hollis fans still out there, even though most of her fan base apparently has just dissipated into thin air. At least for her conference goers were just not interested this time. But there are some out there that still care about her, so there's always a chance for a comeback. Also, when it comes to the prices for tickets, I'm not sure if they ever squared away like the different prices that people paid in advance. So the people that were like buying tickets to go in person originally, I mean, there were some tickets for $2,000 that were like front row, and then some tickets that were $900 that were supposed to be balcony seating. But since they got rid of balcony seating and they just had the stage like in front or in the middle of the room and had it like kind of makeshift to look like a studio. I don't know they didn't announce how they refunded people or, made the prices make sense, because if I pay $2,000 to sit in front and then someone two rows back paid $900, I would be really upset. So I'm curious to know if that happened or not, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe if you bought the ticket, you're screwed and you just have to suck it up and deal with it. During one of her on-stage moments, Rachel said that she does Rise, or she's not making money from this Rise, at least.
Despite what it may appear, this doesn't make money. I don't normally say that on stage. The team's like, oh my God. This is very expensive. I'm being real with you right now. This is very expensive to produce. There's lots of ways I make money. This is not it. I will lose money on this event. I believe in this work. I believe in your work.
And I don't know if that's true. I mean, obviously, who knows what she feels, but if you really just wanted to help people, wouldn't you drop the price and have more people be able to be in the room? Because she makes it seem like being in the room is really important. You feel the energy, you learn better, all this stuff. She says it's better to be in person, but why have your tickets be $1,000? I think it should be better to have more people there. Another thing that the conference advertised was that it was for women only, and they did not specify what constitutes a woman. They didn't say open to people who identify as women. They didn't say women who adhere to this certain category. Men cannot buy tickets. They didn't say any of that. They just said women only, and it was a little vague. And when you go on the website, on the riseliveweekend.com, there's a little event details thing with some questions and answers, and it said who should come. And it says the content and programming are geared toward women. This is for women who want to leave knowing more people and knowing themselves better. What, did Dave Hollis write this? Oh my God. This includes the dreamer, the creative, the mom, the CEO, the inspired, and more. So, not my fave. And the only reason I even care about that, because whatever, you want to have a women's conference, you want to say women only to make it more comfortable for them, fine. I have no problem with that. The thing I have a problem with is that there was men who spoke. There were several men that spoke. And I think if you're restricting the participants to women only, you should also restrict the speakers to women only, because to me it's a little offensive that you think, well, women have things to learn from men, but men can't learn from women. That's what you're saying. It's women only to participate and to learn, but the men are able to teach us something. It's like, okay. So speaking of speakers, they had a variety of people, and the list was changing throughout the time from when the announcement was made to when the event actually took place. Actually, until the day of the event, there was changes being made, and one of them being Chris Hogan. And Chris Hogan is someone who was on the Dave Ramsey show that apparently was fired because of misconduct in his personal life. Don't know much about it. I heard some controversial things about him. He was on the lineup and on the schedule, on the agenda, when I signed into my live portal, and it said he was speaking, and he never showed up. And then the day of that day, they took him off the schedule and put someone else on. So she also added in a woman to the How She Built It panel. And this woman is a business owner and someone who Rachel goes to see to get stretched spiritually. I have a lot to say about that type of business, but I won't say it in this video. But I will say it's a lot of just trust me, it works type of new age spirituality. She's stretching you, but she's telling you that she can tell based on your muscles that, where your trauma is and what your trauma is. If you're into that type of thing, I support you. I don't think that they have much evidence to show that anything works other than placebo effect, like someone's massaging you and whatever. You feel better. Of course you do. But to each its own. I'm not going to go there in this video. I definitely will get there in the past. Oh my God. I will get there in the future, but not today. Trent Shelton was there. He's a former football player, motivational speaker guy. My opinion on him, so he was in person at the event. He actually spoke on stage live at the event venue. He was, to me, very masculine in the sense of he didn't tailor his speech at all to the women's only conference. In my opinion, it seemed like he would give this speech to a group of men at a football game. He could give this speech to the monster truck rally, and he wouldn't necessarily know the difference, which is fine, I guess. But I think the way that they made it seem when you're buying a ticket that this is for women only and women, support women, but then have him just kind of give a rah football kind of speech. I was like, all right. I mean, it's interesting. He had interesting stories, I suppose, but it's just not really, I didn't think it fit the agenda in any way, in my opinion. John Maxwell, he's a well-known self-help guy and speaker and whatnot. So he gave a pre-recorded virtual presentation and just recorded him talking about leadership. And one of my favorite quotes from him during this speech was, if you want to be a leader, practice leadership. So, a big takeaway there. Tom Bilyeu, he was it was live virtual. So Rachel asked him questions while she was on stage on camera. He was at his house virtually set up on Zoom. And interestingly enough, if you want to watch this exchange, it was Rachel's podcast episode the very next day after the conference ended. So you really didn't need to pay any money for that because you got the content that was recorded there the very next day. So Sharis Jones was virtual pre-recorded. It was fine. She started a company. It was all these things are very general. That's the thing. Everyone was very general. They basically said you can do it. I did it. You can do it. And don't think you can't do it. You can. Don't be sad. Be glad. Choose joy. And that was it. It was just a bunch of motivational quotes, essentially. I had days where I thought I couldn't do it, but then I did it. And you can too. That, I could summarize everyone's speech essentially by saying that. That's what everyone's speech was about. Mally, her big advice was wear big earrings. She also said that she's raising a bunch of drag queens, which I thought was interesting. I think that she was just referring to her kids. They are... Okay, well, I'm back. That was traumatic. literally 2 raccoons were fighting in the backyard. Apparently that's what raccoons that fight sound like. Jedediah Jenkins, he talked basically about his own life. Rachel said she never had met him before. He was also pre-recorded. It was pre-recorded, but Rachel was asking him questions. And to me, it sounded like any other podcast episode that she's ever had. Ellen Yin, I gotta be honest, I had slept in a little bit that day, so I did not see hers, but it was pre-recorded, her in her house giving a motivational speech. So maybe that was the best one of the sessions. I don't know. I can't lie. I didn't see it. Liz Lambert, she is a person who is from Austin, local, who is actually married to Aaron Lee Smith, who was on the panel. And Liz basically talked about how she bought a motel in Austin and then became someone who goes and designs hotels and has her own company. It was interesting. I thought she was really successful, and it was cool to hear her stories, but I don't know how I could apply that to my life in any way other than, like go back in time and replicate what she did. But it was a good conversation. It was one of the better ones, I will say. And then Aaron and Jane, and then Kim's not on here, but she was on that panel too. And they basically just talked about, the 3 of them just talked about what they do, and Rachel asked a couple questions, and it was pretty fast, to be honest. It was pretty quick, that session. And then Jayana was just a warm-up person. So her and another woman, Alicia, who is a participant at a different RISE event in Toronto, who was just like an audience member, she actually led the groups in the morning with Zumba. I will say that was one of the highlights for me of this event, is that she got to live her dream and teach Zumba to a group of women. And she was just a participant at RISE last year or a couple years ago. So that was cool. I support that. I think it's cool that Rachel recognized her and kept her promise to have her be a part of RISE this time around. And then Jayana, she is someone who is a trainer on Rachel's Rise fitness app that actually was not discussed whatsoever during this conference. It's funny because Rachel said, that everyone should move their body.
I believe that we should move our body every single day.
And she said the best way to do that is to go on YouTube and search something for free. There was no download my app to participate, or this is the best thing, in the world. She didn't even mention it at all. So I thought that was telling that that app is probably going to be going away soon. And then Kia Twisselman, I think she's actually a really talented speaker. She was the woman who was on the Kelly Clarkson show, who was surprised by Rachel Hollis, and Rachel Hollis inspired her to lose 100+ pounds, and now she runs a coaching weight loss company. And I was actually really surprised that she was such a good speaker, and I thought she did a really good job. And then Ashawn Williams, he was the DJ for the event, so he just played the music and did his thing. So that's it. That's who it was. So a mix of in-person and virtual. I think virtual presentations are a little bit lame, especially when you're paying $1,000 in some cases or more to be in person and watch, be in the room and, experience the live event. And then to sit and watch a video screen is pretty lame to me. But, if that's your thing, I guess that's okay. I just think that the only people that she had in person were people who are local to Austin. So it seems like they didn't have the money possibly to fly anyone out. Editing Kia here. So this part is really important, and I recorded a different version, but I really wanted to clarify what this is talking about and why it's so important to this whole story. So in this clip that you're going to see, Rachel is talking about kind of where her hustle culture obsession came from. If you've listened to a lot of Rachel Hollis conferences, speeches, and things, she's very much into the work hard, wake up at 5 a.m., don't stop, never sleep, go to the top of the mountain. That's her brand. And I think everyone, even if you only know of her casually, you would know that that's the type of rhetoric that she pushes, that, sleep when you're dead type of mentality. If you have kids, that's great, spend time with them, but also make sure you have your own personal work and things to do so that you are fulfilled. There's nothing, again, wrong with that, but that's been her style. In this clip, she basically backtracks from all of that and blames it on the people in her life, particularly men, who coerced her into doing that, and even talks about Dave specifically and accuses him of sort of not a serious infraction, but kind of like a surprising accusation, I think, from her to him, that he was really the one pushing her to achieve so much because of money. So I wanted to set that up before you watch the clip, and definitely let me know what you think about this in the comments, because this, I think, is one of the most interesting and kind of shocking parts of this RISE conference in general.
But everybody in my life was like, go harder, go harder. And the thing is, unfortunately, I think a lot of times the voice that speaks into our life when it comes to achievement or success are men. It's maybe not in your industry, but in mine, that was the example I have. And they're wired differently than we are. They are. I remember getting on the phone there was a lot of people in the personal development space, and authors and podcasters, a lot of guys who were like, I'm gonna walk alongside you, I'm gonna be your mentor, and I didn't know better, so I was like, oh, wow, this person wants to give me advice, I better take it, right? So I remember getting on the phone with this very famous guy, which I am not gonna say his name, and I remember he said, look, you're gonna get tired, and your instinct is gonna be to take your foot off the gas. And whatever you do, don't take your foot off the gas. Go harder. And I remember I was walking through an airport, and I was already on the road, and I was speaking a ton, and I wasn't seeing my kids, and I remember feeling so discouraged by that information. Like, it felt wrong in my soul, but I didn't have the confidence, and I didn't yet totally align with this feeling of loving myself enough to say that it was wrong. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so everyone in my life was like, everybody wants you to speak, everybody, and you're gonna make so much money, and you're gonna travel around the world, and you're gonna do all these things. And I was like, whoa, crazy, that feels awesome. And I didn't have control over the things that were happening, because I just thought, respectfully, I let my husband handle it, which is why I really identify with what you told me yesterday, Priya. I just thought, well, he knows, and he's doing, again, the best he knows how to do, and the best he knew how to do was to sign me up to speak on every stage forever, anybody who wanted me, because it meant money. Because he was operating from a place of fear. That's okay. That's what he knew. And so he said, yeah, don't take your foot off the gas pedal. Let's go hard. And so months went by, and I just kept always, it would be like, I never knew where I was going. I would speak on one stage, and then it would be like 2 days later, you got to get on the road again. And I just kept going. And it was beautiful, because this work is beautiful, and this feels like such a gift. But I have 4 kids. I want to be at home. I want my bra off.
The whole thing was kind of sloppy, I want to say. Like, the set itself was a little sloppy. It was nice. You could tell they spent money on it, but it wasn't as polished as a lot of other live events are, and live events that she's put on in the past. You could tell there was like a lower budget production. I mean, they had a jib. They had a jib camera, which is like the thing that swings around the camera that will show like the overhead shot. And so that's expensive. Those aren't cheap. I mean, she was spending money on having a video person on site. Well, there was money spent in the production, just not as much money as I think that they should have probably spent given the ticket prices. But, I know that they have to pay for the venue as well. But just a couple more things, with the PDFs that we were given, they had different names on them. The agendas weren't updated like correctly until the last day. So just a lot of little things that add up to kind of like they don't care. It just seems like they didn't really care if you got like second rate service. They just wanted to like get it over with and move on. Another thing is that there was some confusion with the hashtag. So under virtual experience, under the question, is there a Facebook group I can join? Says, there is not a Facebook group or community forum for this event. To connect with other attendees, use and follow the hashtag RLWW2021 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So there's one. Literally one on Twitter. Okay? Let's search Facebook. Nothing on Facebook. Okay? On Instagram, no results found. Safe to say, no one was reading the virtual experience frequently asked questions guide. There was literally one person in the whole world that made any mention of that hashtag, and that's the hashtag that was on the official website for this event. So, kind of interesting. But then during the event, they said the hashtag to use was RISEXAUSTIN. So Rise times Austin. So that was used. So there was 198 posts using that hashtag. So more than one, but not the numbers that you would expect for thousands and thousands of women who Rachel claimed. And also another thing that's sloppy, and I know Savvy disagrees with me. On Twitter, she said that she liked this outfit. I did not like that outfit, but, you know, again, I am no fashionista, as you can tell. I have literally no fashion sense. But Rachel's outfits throughout the whole experience were super sloppy to me and just like almost like trying to be funny. Like she wore a lot of band t-shirts and stretchy pants and sweatpants and sneakers. And sneakers are fine. I think sneakers on stage make sense. I don't want her to wear high heels and, you know, pretend to be someone she's not. But just like the outfits just seemed like unprofessional. Like to me, it's like if you go to a nice job interview, you're expected to wear professional business, you know, attire, but you're coming to an entrepreneurial event and you're wearing bicycle shorts. I don't get it. I don't think it's cute. I don't know. It's weird to me. Another thing I noticed during this 3-day live event was that there was a lot of repeated stories and content. So if you follow Rachel Hollis at all, and I've never paid her other than I bought the Audible book and now this conference, but previously I've only ever consumed her free content. And I knew almost every single story that she told on stage. There was nothing that I had never heard of or was insightful in any way. So if you're familiar with the Rachel Hollis universe, she told on stage the first kiss story again, where she claims that she had an out-of-body experience essentially when she was kissing her new boyfriend for the first time and was saying things out loud that she thought was just in her head but came out involuntarily.
I'm wearing giant sweatpants, giant t-shirt, socks, Birkenstocks. I am wearing my baggy sweatpants with holes in them. If you're familiar, I have Birkenstocks and socks. All of that was coming out of my mouth. So I, in this moment, was having an internal monologue that I was like, where do I put my hands? How do I, oh my gosh, you're touching my butt. How'd that happen? Like all, except I thought it was in my head and it was just coming out my mouth. Which was when I realized that all the things I just said to you were coming out of my mouth. I literally said audibly, do I bite?
This is meanwhile, 2 years ago, she was selling marriage conferences and to how to spice up your marriage and how to have a long, successful marriage. She also told the story of how she met Oprah and how Oprah was not impressed by her story that she told on stage, that she had a disgusting tampon stuck inside of her for 3 weeks.
There has been a foreign object living in my body for 3 weeks.
Found a tampon inside my body from 3 weeks ago.
I understand why Oprah did not want to hear that story. She actually left the stage because she was, I guess, disgusted, I'm assuming. I was disgusted. I mean, she went to like a lot of details, and I don't understand the point of the story still to this day.
What did it look like? As soon as I told my best friends, immediately they were like, what did it look like? Have you ever seen a video of a baby bird still inside the egg? Where it's like, that's what it looked like.
She also talked about the brain scan.
I literally have holes in my brain. I am not making that up. Freaking knew something was wrong. I'll tell you the story later.
She basically went to a doctor. I mean, he's a doctor, but okay. This doctor and got a brain scan, and they saw different things in her brain. And, the doctor told her to stop drinking alcohol and coffee was his recommendation. And so she said on stage that she has given up alcohol and coffee.
And I will tell you right now, I thought that the giving up alcohol thing would be hard. Not a big deal. A week, it sucked, but it wasn't a big deal.
Okay, so I was surprised. I was like, oh, I didn't know she gave up alcohol. And she said she's done it for 6 weeks. But not more than an hour later.
Don't worry, on Monday night, I'm going ham. Gonna have a good time, right? Gonna have a cocktail at the ready. Gonna treat myself, have one thing, just live my life. Dr. Amen will be fine with it, right?
She's talking about how after the conference, she's gonna have a cocktail. So it's like, to me, I don't drink alcohol. I did a whole video about it, how I, have been sober for 2 years. I was not sober for, every year basically before that. I talked through why I gave it up for my, personal reasons. But when I say I don't drink, I don't drink. It's not like I don't drink. I only have one a day. There is, when you say that you've given up alcohol, I think it's disrespectful to say you've given it up and, proclaim that you're sober, but then also partake in a drink every so often. I think it's important to point out, like, I drink on occasion. That's what that means. Because people who are actually sober and struggle to stay sober, they wish they could have one a month and they can't. And I think when you claim that, I gave up alcohol, but then you drink still, it's not fair. And maybe, I'm being too personal about it, but if someone told me I don't drink, I'm like, oh, awesome, we can connect, and then I see them drinking, I would be kind of offended and just betrayed, oh, I thought we were in the same boat and I finally could connect with somebody that's also not doing this. But maybe that's just a personal thing because I don't drink, so maybe let me know what you think. Is her in one breath giving advice that her doctor said not to drink, and then an hour later saying that she's going to have a cocktail tomorrow? Let me know. Another thing that I've noticed throughout this whole conference is that, and honestly, in general, that lately in the last year, Rachel has become very new age. She has put away some of her Christian beliefs or Christian beginnings and has started to move over into the universe.
This is our crown chakra. Mm-hmm. The universe is like, oh, this is what Jenna likes.
Less of Jesus, more universe. And she's been talking about much more, namaste type things. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I have my personal opinions. I've done a lot of the things that she's currently doing now. She said, our Lord and Savior, and she said this before, but she said, our Lord and Savior, Beyonce Knowles. She said that, which I thought was interesting because it was actually Beyonce's birthday. But she didn't mention that it was Beyonce's birthday, so I guess she's not a real fan. But she said that, and then she also said that God is a she, and whatever her wisdom is, blah, blah, blah. So she stuck to her guns on that one, that God is a female. She's mentioned that a couple times in other podcasts and videos, but she said, again, on stage that, God is a female. And a lot of meditation. Every day there was a meditation in the morning. There was meditation at lunch. There was meditation throughout not all, but a lot of the speakers included meditation. And it's funny too that Rachel didn't include again, the Rise fitness app that she was promoting and talking about how amazing it was going to be a year ago or 2 years ago. And, you know, she said, just go on Google and search meditations. There's tons for free. She's not promoting her app at all. So to me, that seems like a good sign that it's going to be cut soon. Rachel also said that before the event started, she came around and saged the whole venue. So, and I know her boyfriend, I guess, is like, you know, kind of hippie-ish from what I can tell on Instagram, but it seems like she's picking up a lot of these traits from him maybe, or just because she's going through a difficult time with a divorce and, you know, her business kind of falling apart. Maybe she's leaning on the supernatural new age stuff to help her get through. In this section, I just want to talk about some random things that I wrote down just while I was watching that I thought were interesting parts.
He's backstage, so he's not going to love that I'm telling this story. But I had this experience recently, because, you know, I have a new boyfriend. I'm trying to figure out how to be in a relationship. That's wild. He was away on work, and he didn't text me for like 2 hours. But I really wanted him to text me. But I'd never told him that. But I really wanted him to text me. And then I was like very upset. And I was like crying, This just happened like 3 weeks ago. I was like crying in my bed. No one loves me. I'm all alone. All I wanted was a heart emoji. Or maybe the one that looks like it's hugging. Could I have had a hugging emoji with hearts? It takes 2 seconds. He didn't send me a heart. I'm so frustrated. I'm so sad. I go down a spiral. I'm freaking the hell out. And I had just had this conversation with a therapist about not being seen. And I was like so frustrated and very dramatic because it's me. And it turned into this whole ridiculous thing that just ended with him being like, oh, did you want me to text you? And I was like, yes.
I thought that was kind of a red flag for a new relationship, and especially a story to tell on stage. It seems a little odd, but okay. She also was saying that she was going out to dinner after the conference was over, and she was going to eat salmon.
That's why I know what I'm going to have for dinner later tonight when I go hang out with these girls. I'm going to have salmon. It's going to be disgusting. I hate salmon. Watch me eat it. Watch me eat it like it's my job.
And I think she talks about that a lot. She says she drinks this green juice in the morning, every morning, because it's good for her. You know, there's a lot of different varieties of things that you can eat and try that are healthy that you can enjoy. You don't have to eat salmon if you don't like salmon. Chicken is pretty good. Grilled chicken breast is pretty delicious, I gotta say. Or be a vegetarian. Like, there's a lot of options. I don't know why she has to, like, say, like, I'm forcing myself to eat this because it's disgusting and I love it. Or it's disgusting and I'm eating it anyways. It's like, are we supposed to feel bad for you or what? I don't know. But that was an interesting line. Another thing that I saw, I went through the hashtag and saw some people that had attended in person. And I saw 2 Herbalife sellers. I saw a Monate person and I saw a Scentsy person. So that's 4 different MLMs that were in the audience. I am not a fan of MLMs. I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this are not either. So that kind of gives you an idea of like the type of person that might still be interested in this type of content, because MLMs push personal development so hard that you have to, you know, push yourself. And if you didn't make a goal, then it's your fault and you need to get yourself together. The whole conference was a lot of that. Like, you are in charge of yourself and you need to do this and you need to do that. It was a lot of that. So, you know, a lot of like, blame yourself, manifest it for yourself. But if it doesn't happen, it's your fault. You didn't try hard enough. It's like, which one is it? Is it just, do you just manifest it, or do you have to actually do something for it? And if it doesn't happen, like, is it your fault or is it not your fault? Some are speculating that she's basically said that was the last Rise ever. But let's go through the actual words, because it wasn't clear to me when I was watching it, but I can understand why some people think that. But this is what she said.
We've been through a lot together this weekend, guys. And I appreciate your presence. And I appreciate your honesty and your authenticity and your community and your energy. We started this, Asan and I and some dear friends, we started this back in 2017 here in Austin, Texas. And this feels like the beautiful closing of a chapter for us. We're so excited about things that are coming, but this feels like the evolution. And so I'm so grateful that I got to do it with you. And I'm so grateful for those of you, bear with me, who held your ticket through 18 months, who believed in the work that we do and believed that it mattered and fought to be here, because I know that it wasn't easy. Emotionally, financially, I know it took a lot for you to be in this room or find the time to watch this at home, and I'm grateful.
So overall, I gotta say, it was not worth the money. I paid the lowest possible price other than doing like a 1 day. So the lowest possible price to go to all 3 days. I thought that a lot of it was redundant information that you could find on Rachel's own podcast and YouTube, and things that she goes out and discusses on other people's podcasts. There was no stories that were new. There was no lessons that were new. Most of the stuff was obvious. I mean, yes, people need to hear motivation sometimes, like, okay, you can do it and don't worry about it and it'll work out itself out. But to pay that much money, I don't know. I wish there was more. I wish that was like a little 25% was like the obvious, like, you can do it. It's going to be okay. You're a strong woman. But then the other part was like how to do an LLC, or what things do you need before you start a business, or, stuff like that, like actual tangible things. But everything was just like, not deep enough to actually get any value out of it.
You understand, like, nothing I've told you in the last 2 days are things you didn't already know in your heart.
That's it. That's the tea. That's the rise from me. So what do you think? What was the most interesting part? A lot of people thanked me for my service. No problem. Salute you. And I wanted to bring up again, I almost forgot, SobGang, we are formed, we are here. I saw the comments and the positive feedback. So officially, we are the SobGang, hashtag SobGang. We can unite soon. I figure on Patreon, that could be our group name. You can join the SobGang Nation. Basically to me, SobGang means that you're not forcing yourself to be happy every day. You allow yourself to feel the feels. Not everything is butterflies and rainbows. We can still be positive. We can still have good vibes, but it's not good vibes only. People who have real problems and real things going on, and things that seem huge to them, or little tiny disruptions in your day, you don't have to blame yourself for feeling bad about that, or sad about it, or having a mood swing, or whatever. All types of personalities and emotions are welcome in the SobGang. Don't force yourself into toxic positivity. Join us. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one, and stay sad, SobGang. Bye.